Joining us now to talk about it, the great Brian Westbrook. B. West, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. Good afternoon, guys.
What's up, Boots?
What's going on, brother? How's everything?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm just sitting here wallowing in misery today, brother, about the 2004 Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting memory to think about, but then you remember the result, and you're like, hold on, time out. It didn't quite go the way we needed it to go.
Yeah, well, that's why we're trying to make it about, for all the teams, we're trying to make it more about the season and the era, not just the game. We're not just going to dial in on it as like, why did you win the game, man? You know, that's no fun. You know, when I say it, when I bring up that season, that playoffs, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what is the first word that pops up?
You know, the first word is success. And when I think about that team, and it's kind of weird because there were so many games. And I mean, I feel like it's more than half the games or 8+ games where as an offense and as a starting defense, we didn't play the entire game. I mean, we were dominant. And that's probably even a better word. We were dominant. We were one of the best offenses in the NFL that year and one of the best defenses in the NFL that year. And I don't think it was even that close, you know, except for a couple of games there. But again, of course, the Pittsburgh game, it got ugly early on. But for the rest of the season, things were just running very, very smoothly. And there were many fourth quarters where we didn't even play because the game had gotten out of control.
Dude, I go all the way to thinking back to training camp, right? Like, you know, getting T.O. here and what he meant to you guys on that side of the football. You know, the year before we had the three-headed monster with yourself, Buck, and Deuce as the primary focal point of the offense along with Donovan. But adding T.O. To Pink and Freddie Mitchell and yourself, what was that like from an offensive player standpoint, adding a guy like T.O. to the offense?
Well, for me, I mean, I think back to the summertime where, and I'm not exactly sure when T.O. joined the team. I'm not exactly sure. But I just remember right before that, it was breaking news that Terrell Owens at least has a possibility of coming to Philadelphia. And I think he may have signed with, or something happened with Baltimore at some point, and then he came. That didn't work out, and then he came to Philadelphia. And for me, it was just exciting to have a Hall of Fame player on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously, I was still trying to prove myself, and Donovan was an established quarterback. But having someone that was at the top, he was at the top of his game at that point, it was absolutely amazing just to be able to bring him in. And you think about it from a running back perspective, I'm saying, okay, listen, now we have someone, not that Pink wasn't the guy that can take the top off the defense, not that Freddie didn't do his thing in between the hashes, but we have someone that can touch the ball on a 5-yard route and can go 95 yards. He did it in front of Champ Bailey out in Denver. I mean, we have someone that we can do a fake handoff, and he's streaking down the sideline wide open, and Donovan had the arm to get it to him. And so it took our offense to a different level, and the teams had to respect us differently. So for me, it was amazing because now, not that we were always seeing 8-man boxes, but when we weren't seeing those anymore after he came, because there is no way a defense is going to play T.O. on one side of the field with just one guy. He was just too good for that.
You know, BS, we've had really good running backs since you in Philadelphia. You know, we had LaShawn McCoy, we have Saquon Barkley now, but we've never had a running back that was as prolific a receiver as you were. Can you talk about how you developed the rhythm and the connection with Donovan to be able to be that connection that you guys were here for the Eagles?
You know, honestly, I think back in my career an awful lot now. You know, as you get older, you start thinking back. You're not looking forward, you're looking backwards. And I think about myself getting injured my senior year in high school, right, which truly led me to Villanova. And at Villanova, they gave me the ability to play special teams, obviously return man. They gave me the ability to catch the ball at the backfield. They gave me the ability to just learn coverages. And so I was able to take that skill set and the things that I learned at Villanova and bring them into the NFL. And, of course, we knew Andy, he wanted to be that West Coast offense where you had Roger Craig over 1,000 yards receiving. So he wanted to be able to force a defense to play a 4-3, which was a popular defense at the time, and then we flexed the running back out, right, in the motion. and now the linebacker has to go or safety. Yeah. And for us, we always felt that was a mismatch. Anytime we get a linebacker or a safety out there against one of our running backs, myself included, we felt like that was a mismatch. And so there was many times that it would just be me and Deuce in the backfield, me and John Ritchie in the backfield, and me and Carell Buckhalter in the backfield. So now I can be displaced, and now I'm running routes against linebackers and safeties, and that was a winning situation for us. And so that skill set that I learned at Villanova, understanding coverages, understanding leverage, understanding where the defense should be at a particular time, that's something that I carried over into the NFL. And Andy Reid was able to take advantage of it. And truly, when I think of Andy Reid, I think of his ability to get his best players in space, get them where they're their strongest, get them in space for myself, and now allow them to do their thing. And that was one of the things that I loved about Andy Reid in that offense at the time.
Yeah, and in space is where you didn't want to see 36, man. I had my ankles had to get taped tight in practice plenty of times trying to cover that dude in practice. I remember the Green Bay game, right? That was a big matchup. We were playing Brett Favre and the Packers that year. They were coming here. I think they had a pretty good record. We had a pretty good record. It was a rematch from the year before, 4th and 26 game. And I think, B, you had 3 touchdowns in the first half in that game.
Yeah, I think offensively we had a good game that week, and I think we exploded. But again, there were some matchups there that we saw on tape that we were like, okay, if we get this look, then this is the exact look that we need because we having a matchup versus this safety or this linebacker or a defense that over pursues, and we can throw the screen back the other way, and we're going to have a good opportunity there offensively. And so that was one of those games where rushing the ball. We did decently well, but in the past game, I was able to catch a few touchdowns, and it was really all the difference in the game.
Dude, you brought up the screen. It's something we've been scratching our head around here for years now. It don't seem like we've run good screens since you left and Andy left. When you watch our offense, right, what do you see as – like, why aren't we a good screen team? What do we need to do better as an offense to be a good screen team? That used to be a staple from an Eagles offense for many, many years, and now it seems like we can't even run screen plays anymore.
Well, typically, you're going to be good at the things that you practice the most, right? We spent an awful lot of time in the screen game. And we had big guys. So they have big offensive linemen now, but we had John Runyon pulling on screens, Sean Andrew pulling on screens, Trey Thomas every now and then getting out on screens as well. And so they have the capability. It's not the size of the guys there, but that's just not a part of their offense. And it's actually sad because with the rush that you're getting from so many defensive ends and the pressure that you're getting from defenses with their blitz packages, the screens are the best play to run against that because once you make that one guy miss, there's nobody else there. And Saquon is so skilled at picking up his blockers that I think he would be an amazing screen back. But unfortunately, they don't call that play very much anymore here in Philadelphia. And I think they're losing an edge by not calling it because the one thing that you ask for the screen, you want them to rush. And as soon as you have a successful screen, now that rush slows down. So Jalen Hurts is not seeing the same type of defenses, the same type of rush because of the fear of the screen. And unfortunately, we don't strike the fear in defenses in that way because our screens just haven't been very successful. And I also believe when you look at defense, the way that teams are running offenses now, they're using the tight end screen. They're using a wide receiver screen way more than they're using a running back screen. And it kind of has taken away a bit of from the game that I see it when we look offensively for us. Well,
you must see Christian McCaffrey and really appreciate his game, right? Because, I mean, he does everything for the Niners, and they use that a lot. I mean, it's not just screens. They use him everywhere, but he is pretty prolific doing that.
They just put him in space. They put him in space, and they give him the ball, right? And it doesn't matter where it comes from, whether he starts outside, motions back in, and catches a quick 5-yard pass, and he's out the gate with a couple of blockers in front of him. I remember when I got released from the Eagles, my first trip, free agency trip, was down to Washington. Mike Shanahan was the head coach, and Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. And I sat with him probably about 2 hours of just going over things that he's like, we can use you here, we can use you here. He had an entire playbook of plays that predominantly you see all of them run right now with Christian McCaffrey. But there were plays that he didn't want to run with Clinton Portis at the time.
Right.
They needed a back like myself to come in to be able to run those things. And now you're seeing all those things being run and capitalized on with Christian McCaffrey because he's so good. He's gained a wiggle. When he first came out, I thought he was a little stiff, but now he has a wiggle. He has power. He has speed, and he catches the ball very well out of the backfield. It's just hard to stop running backs if they have those types of skills.
So back to 04. So you're going into the playoffs without T.O. What is the confidence level on offense from you guys going into the playoffs without having T.O., as he had made such a huge difference during the regular season? How did you guys feel about the playoffs going into it without him?
Quite honestly, we felt very good. We didn't know if T.O. was going to be able to come back and win at all, or even if for the Super Bowl. So at that point, T.O. was kind of an afterthought. Now, obviously, it's hard to say you got a Hall of Famer talking about he's an afterthought, but at that point, as a team, we're saying the next man up. But we had a running game. We had the ability to carry the football in the arms of our running backs. Donovan had been very successful plenty of times in seasons prior to T.O. getting there, throwing the ball to James Thrash and Todd Pinkston and Freddie Mitchell. And so we had a lot of confidence. We also knew that our defense and the group that Ike was a part of was the best defense in the league. We knew that we had the best special teams in the league. And offensively, if we can control the football and just put points on the board, allow our defense to just be able to rest on the sideline for a little bit, that we were going to be in every game. And then we, quite honestly, if you think about it, and I think about this a lot, we ran the ball very well leading up to the playoffs and in the playoffs, very efficiently, keeping defenses off balance. And, quite honestly, if you look at our Super Bowl game, that's not something that we relied on. We went back to that pass-happy type of offense to play against the Patriots. And so we did a lot of things differently in those games that T.O. was out leading up to the playoffs and in the playoffs than what we did actually in the Super Bowl game.
So let me ask you this. Neutral site, the 04 Eagles versus the 2024 Eagles, who wins and why?
Are we playing by the rules that we played the game by back in 04? Because remember, that's when Dawkins can suplex somebody.
Right.
That's when Jeremiah Trotter could hit somebody in the mouth and there was no whistles, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. You can hit the quarterback back then. So it's a different game. Listen, I'm biased. I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
No, you're the right person to ask.
Say that the 04 team is probably better than everyone else. But, they had a really good run. We had a really good run. Fortunately for the city of Philadelphia and us Eagles fans, they were able to go out there and win the most important game, and they didn't make very many mistakes.
Yep.
If you look at our game, the mistakes that we made and the mistakes that the Patriots did not make, that's the difference in the game. It's as simple as that. A couple of passes went the other way, and there's always, you're thinking you can overcome it, and when you're playing the best, it's hard to overcome some of those mistakes that we made in that game.
Yeah. I was telling Ike and Jack, I was watching it this morning, and I have not seen it since in 20 years. And I thought to after that first quarter, I'm just like, interception, fumble. I'm like, what are you guys doing? No. Yeah. And that's really, the Patriots were not, they were just clean. They played a clean game, and you guys didn't. It just seems like that was the difference.
Yeah.
There was nothing special that they did, but they held onto the ball. And when they had opportunities for interceptions and all those other things, they didn't drop it. They didn't make any mistakes on that side of the ball either. And so, I mean, we had touchdowns that we missed, opportunities that we missed, and unfortunately, not only was it not a touchdown for us, they got the ball. So that it wasn't a deflected pass or something bad. They actually took the ball away. Yeah, and that's where we lost the football game.
Yeah, but we got each other.
Well,
that's right. We have each other. We have our memories of a great week in Jackson.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because it does seem we're not 20 years away from the 24 team, so I don't know how those guys will talk about each other or to each other. But every time I see you guys talk about each other or to each other, it is with great reverence, and it feels like it was truly a brotherhood because you guys still talk to each other that way.
For sure.
How?
You see some of our text messages.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Our group chats.
Please
see the group chats.
Well, how does that happen, right? Is that an Andy thing? Is it how were you guys so together? Because it does seem like it was that way.
it wasn't only a connection, and it wasn't Andy was part of it.
Yep.
But it was a brotherhood. There was a bond, and quite honestly, Spike, it was a love, right? Yeah. These guys, and most of these guys are Ike's age. They were there before me. I was part of the later crew that came in and was able to help. Ike's old age, but I'm one of the later crew that came in and was able to help out. And so these guys, and I mean this seriously. I'm not just saying it. They allowed me and showed me how to be a professional. Ike Reese, including Ike is probably the biggest, the most important one, because when I came in, I played special teams. And when I looked at Ike, I'm like, oh, man, look at this guy who could be starting on someone's defense throughout the NFL, but because we have such a good defense, he's playing special teams. And if no one's crying, no one's complaining, he went out every single day to make our special teams better. And John Harbaugh knew that, so he depended on Ike. And so for a young guy like myself that just had to pave his own way and find a spot, I saw Ike working hard like that every day, and that professionalism. And for me, that was my way to get an opportunity. So when I talk about brotherhood, I mean, these guys literally brought me along with them to do things and be a better person, but also more importantly, and for what we're talking about, a much better player and a professional. And so it's not only a brotherhood for me. It's a close bond. This is love, because these guys have done so much for myself, and hopefully I have that same influence on younger guys and guys that I play with as well. But that's what this was truly about, and that's why it's so special that when we do get an opportunity to be around each other again, and then we start telling those stories, and then we need to go home very quickly. But
it's always a good time when we look up. It's always a good time. No, man, B is right, man. It's a tight bond. I had guys, Irvin Fryer, Troy Vincent. Those were the older guys before me that just showed me the way, the Mike Quicks, the Harold Carmichael. So you sort of get the responsibility of doing that with the next generation that's coming behind you. And B West was with that group of Lito and Sheldon and Michael Lewis. Those guys, that was we had a good group of young guys that didn't mind listening to old heads and guys trying to give them good, not just football advice, but life advice and doing things that preparing yourself for life after football. We always had that whole connection there.
Well, I told Ike earlier, I think one of the reasons I have actually my affinity for that era of Eagles football has grown is really just watching you guys interact with each other. Is that it makes me, because I now know how you guys are with each other, it makes me appreciate that era of Eagles football more and the team more, because now you guys are people to me as opposed to just being, players. And the fact that you still have text threads is amazing to me,
During the season, they can get a little hectic.
Oh, that's what I want to see. I want to be on that thread one game. Just give me one game on the thread.
We call that the keep it real thread. Keep it real on that thread.
Who knows what may be said? It's always to be real, I tell you that.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for your time today. It was a good trip down memory lane, and thank you for your time here as a player. We appreciate your time here today as well.
Always appreciate it, bro.
Of course, anytime, brother.
There he is, the great Brian Westbrook.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The best running back, franchise history. I still feel that way.